Soul that you see right there, that's the vehicle they're talking about. Slow moving indeed, and it is technically a pursuit, but for the most part, I would call this more of a failure to yield, as this vehicle moving very slowly and obeying a lot of the traffic laws.
So the consequence for a failure to yield is what? Just
well, that's the same. It's just in the verbiage. It's the same type of deal. A pursuit, to me, would be something where it's moving a lot quicker, trying to maybe maneuver away from officers. This car just seems to be driving this morning. You can see it right there.
It's
moving
cruising
very slowly. Yeah. Just cruising along. And I keep doing that Y chat because I just want to see how far back the sheriff's units are. I think they've really just backed off totally right now. I'm going to work with Chris, my pilot, and make sure that the sheriff's ship is still above it. But I do know that Chris is telling me, yes, it is. It's definitely still here. So they're keeping an eye on it. They're making the calls saying where it is. But as far as pursuit, as far as officers right behind it, right now they've backed off, and they're just keeping an eye on where this vehicle is going. That's the plan right now.
Stu, do we know why the police backed off?
Well, they backed off because of danger to the public. That is it's all policies, and then it turns into somebody that makes that decision. There's a sergeant somewhere keeping an eye on what's going on, and that person makes that call, tells the deputies in the field, hey, you know what, we're not going to risk anything, just back off. This car isn't doing anything too dangerous as far as the public's concerned, so the lights and sirens might just be making the driver of this car more tense. These are all things they're weighing out. Those are decisions well above me. I'm glad we're just kind of keeping an eye on it. I would hate to be the person making any of those kinds of calls. But right now, it seems to be the right deal. Look at this. This vehicle just kind of driving along out here.
He's keeping like even a safe distance from the other cars in front of him.
So I'm hearing you say it only becomes a major issue where you've got a big police presence if this individual starts weaving and bobbing and just causing issue with the public.
Yeah, it could. That it all is all kind of there's a lot of variables involved. There's a sergeant involved. There's the deputies, or let's just say officers, because in this case it's the sheriff's department. So those are the deputies. But law enforcement in general, they have a hierarchy, and the guys in the streets, the guys and the gals in the streets, they're the ones they're the patrollers, and then they have their bosses that they answer to. They are all making these decisions. They're keeping an eye on what's going on. In this case, a stolen vehicle, the helicopter's going to follow it. If this person just kind of pulls over, gets out and runs, that's probably going to be the best result. That way they get that car back safely, and they might be able to get that suspect into custody. If not, if this person starts driving crazy and becomes a hazard to the public, that's when, somebody's got to make that call. Do we re-engage the pursuit? Do we turn on the lights and sirens? Do we try to warn the public that this is happening? It's a delicate balance for sure.
So this individual could just keep on driving then?
At this point, yes, and then you kind of wonder, does that person know that they're being followed?
Right.
Or they're even aware that right now that there's a helicopter above it? My guess is going to be yes. The sheriff's ship usually flying a little lower, but right now this car just kind of driving along, and like you said, maybe they'll just pull over, get out, try to walk away. When that happens, we'll see how close the other law enforcement is, though, for sure.
We ask that because it does seem like he or she is obeying all the traffic signals.
Yeah.
And is keeping a pretty good distance away from the other cars and is not going at a high rate of speed.
Definitely. And all these things weigh into the decision that the law enforcement, in this case, I would believe it was a sergeant, basically told the deputies on the ground, disengage. They were talking, there was a little talk about doing a pit maneuver because of the slow moving of the vehicle and light traffic. The traffic's kind of building up out here, that's for sure, but they decided not to. They were like, no, we're not going to do a pit. I guess there wasn't a deputy that was pit certified. It's also something that has to be done. Not all deputies are pit certified. So again, this vehicle continuing to drive, but that doesn't mean they're letting it go. This car isn't on the free. There is a helicopter above it besides us at law enforcement, and they're making the calls right now. They're keeping an eye on where it goes. When that car does stop, it's going to change up quite a bit. I'm sure that there's going to be officers arriving, and again, that's the public safety. And even the driver of that vehicle, that person's safety is a concern of all law enforcement.
If you are just joining us, everybody, we are following a police pursuit this morning in Whittier. Stu is overhead in Sky Fox, It's a stolen vehicle that we're keeping an eye on for you. The driver just appears to be cruising, not going at really any high speeds or even being a hazard to the public.
Sorry about that, guys. I lost the IFB there for a moment, Melvin. I heard you make the commentary about the good driving effect that this driver has right now. Is he going to get any awards for that? Probably not, but it is definitely weighing into the, are they going to chase him or not? Right now, though, I'm going to take a look at the speeds, but I would venture to say that they are about the what they should be out here right now and driving pretty well. Now, again, if he gets into a different area, maybe gets back onto a freeway, California Highway Patrol, they might have a different outlook on this. They might have a different attitude. Also, if it gets into LAPD's area, which it might, we're in a Pico Rivera right now, but if it does, then yes, they could re-engage that pursuit, but right now the Sheriff's Department, they're making that decision. They've got the helicopter above it. They're going to keep an eye on it. I just saw their helicopter right there. So this is the guy, they're up there, they're making the calls right now, keeping their officers informed about where that vehicle is, and again, it's just driving along this afternoon, and this is how they're going to start handling a lot of these pursuits, because it's all policy right now, and safety is the biggest factor. They don't want to see anybody get hurt, including that suspect.
Do you feel like this is part of this individual's strategy, Stu, just to, you know, follow the speed limit?
No.
Not, because I'm like, why? Because usually when you see these pursuits, they're flying by, they're weaving in and out of traffic.
Yeah, because he's stopping all the stoplights.
Right.
He has ample, you know, not that we're encouraging, but he has ample room to do all of this.
At what point,
interesting.
do you feel like they would just ditch this?
Yeah.
Law enforcement.
Well, law enforcement, I don't think they're just going to give it up. The chances are that's not going to happen. As far as that individual, you know, a lot of times I have these discussions with a lot of folks, and you know, this is checkers, not chess. I can almost guarantee it to you. Sometimes some of those suspects, they'll make some phone calls, they'll drive underneath a bridge, or they'll drive into a parking garage. But for the most part, you know, we're dealing with people that are playing checkers. This guy or gal that's driving this vehicle right now, he's not doing the, oh, I'm just going to drive normal, they're going to back off, and I'm going to be able to run. I would venture to say this person is just, you know, in some sort of mindset right now. We do know it's a stolen vehicle, so that does kind of add to it. So the driver does know that he's driving a stolen vehicle. But as far as a plan to get away, I'm thinking not. I'm thinking that this person's just driving right now, probably looking for a spot where he can park, or she can park that vehicle, just jump out and run. Might be somewhere over here. But now that I say all that, we have seen things change up dramatically so many times in the past.
Is this a parking lot he's pulling into? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I was actually thinking maybe he's just going to work, and he's just going to kind of blend in, just kind of show up and,
He'll just go to work, start his day.
Yep.
Maybe have a coffee.
Have a coffee. Again, it looks like a shopping mall out here for sure. The sheriff's ship, I hear in one of my off in the distance making those calls, telling the deputies where it is exactly. But definitely driving around a shopping mall right now. And again, I wouldn't be shocked if this car just kind of finds a parking spot and then the driver gets out and tries to make his way on foot, or we just drive out of the parking lot.
Or we just do that. Yeah.
And of course, as this individual continues to drive and he or she moves into different jurisdictions, there's different rules, right? By way of the law enforcement.
Definitely, and that's also what might come into play, is if he gets into a different area, you know, some other law enforcement might look at this differently. That driver might start driving erratically. That could change things up as well. Right now, though, I just wonder, does that person in there feel like he's being watched? I always kind of wonder about that. It looks like they're looking right up at us. So he's got to know that there's a helicopter above. The sheriff's helicopter extremely low, probably putting out a lot of noise. But again, you can see it just driving, doing the traffic signals, driving along pretty normally out here. But I would venture to say, starting to think about, where can I park this car, get out, and kind of hide and maybe separate myself from that stolen vehicle.
Stu, for anybody who's just joining us right now, can you talk about how this chase began, and maybe is there more than one person in the car that you've been able to see?
Well, we only see the driver right now. We'll try to move around a little bit and see if we can take a peek inside. And we haven't heard about multiple people inside the car. Sometimes we'll hear crosstalk. As far as how this started in the Carson-Compton area, and it was a stolen vehicle. Deputies got behind it, probably ran that plate, and then the lights and sirens came on, and that vehicle did not stop. At one point, got onto the freeway speeds, but then it started using the emergency lane, and it was driving pretty quickly until it got off the freeway, and then basically what we see here, started following all the rules of the road, just kind of driving along, keeping those freeway speeds, stopping at stoplights. There was one stoplight it did run at one point. The deputies, well, they backed off, and Chris is my pilot this morning, telling me that there is nobody behind it at all right now, or even in the neighborhood that he sees out the window. And, well, maybe there is one now just getting into the neighborhood now. So they are making those calls, and that's what happens is the sheriff's ship flies overhead, the helicopter. He's making all these calls. Deputies are making themselves conveniently local is probably the best way to say it. So they might not be right behind it, but they might be a block away or a couple blocks away. So when that vehicle does stop, they'll swoop in and they'll try to capture that driver. Right now, though, it seems to be working well, at least as far as the public goes. This vehicle driving safely, no public threat. But again, that is a stolen vehicle, and I'm sure that the owner might want it back.
Yeah, I would say the one thing to be thankful for when it comes to this is that this is one of the most civilized police chases I've ever seen.
No doubt about it. You know, the other thing I'm thinking here too, Jen, is you wonder how much gas is in that car, too, right? But I mean, just abiding by the laws and the rules of the road. Not going at any type of a high speed. Seems to be, even at that light, when the individual was just parked at a light, very chill inside the car.
Slowing down for all the speed humps, you know.
Right. I mean, it's
stopping for all the stop signs.
And I guess...
Yep.
And you do have to wonder, I mean, does he know that he's being pursued? If the police are that far away from him?
Well, he's got to know that something's going on, and as far as, you know, he is driving. Let's face it, he is driving well. You know, I'm not a DMV and tester, but I can tell you he is driving pretty well. But as far as relaxed, you know, that's about the only thing we can do up here in Skyfox is try to read body language. And look at that, he's looking around, he's looking at us. He is definitely, you can feel the tension, so he knows what's going on. Relaxed, I would say no. And there you go, he kind of made a bad move right there. He kind of cut off that car. But what's he doing? Well, that's going to be the tough one right there. If that, you know, is he going to a neighborhood? Is he trying to plan a way to get away? Well, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see. But right now, the Sheriff's Department, they're with us here as well. They're down there. They're making the calls. Chris does say that he is seeing black and whites in the neighborhood. I don't know for sure if they're the Sheriff's Department because we have made our way into where are we exactly? The Whittier area. So they might be Whittier PD down there right now, and they might have a different take on this. They might just get behind it, turn on the lights and sirens, and re-engage that pursuit, or even try to bring it to an end. Maybe spike strips, maybe a pit maneuver. But right now, that stolen vehicle just kind of cruising around the city of Whittier, and we're keeping an eye on it with all our viewers.
Right, and you know, one more time, the reason for which there's not a heavy police presence right now is because they have deemed that this individual has not presented as any type of a hazard or a threat to the community because they're not driving reckless or out of control, right?
Using turn signals, wearing a seatbelt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, using the turn signals, wearing a seatbelt, keeping an eye on it. Might be on his, I don't know. I thought maybe he was getting on a cell phone right there. Maybe he's checking. You know, a lot of times we have seen a lot of communication with friends, family, others, and they try to make some sort of plan. Hopefully, you know, it doesn't work. You know, hopefully the driver of the car gets, or the owner of that vehicle gets that vehicle back in one piece safely, and nobody gets injured. You know, as far as that suspect getting captured, we always want to see that. But right now, it looks like this driver is just going to be driving the stolen vehicle for a little bit here, and they're formulating a plan. I am hearing them talk. They may re-engage that pursuit, but where or when, that's still an option. We're making our way, still coming up on Whittier Boulevard. It looks like we're going to go straight through it. There's that sheriff's ship. That was the shot I was waiting for. They're still here. They're making those calls. And, of course, sergeants are thinking about possibly re-engaging this chase.
Stu, what would have to happen in order for them to re-engage?
One of their bosses is going to have to sit there and say, you know what, let's try to bring this thing to a stop, or they might be trying to get a deputy that is pit qualified into the area to maybe do that pit maneuver, and or if this driver gets into a neighborhood and we start seeing that common making blocks, they might be able to use the spike strips. So they do have options. They definitely have options. It being a stolen vehicle, though, that's the problem. It isn't like we know where this car belongs. Like if this was something else, like the driver belonged to that vehicle, they would just say, okay, well, we know where this person lives. We'll door knock later on. We'll let him get away right now, but we'll catch him later. But the fact that this is stolen, they have no idea who this driver is, and they're going to want, that's really what they want. They want to take that driver into custody.
Well, and the other question here, too, yes, this individual is abiding by the rules of the road, driving safely, quote unquote. How long will they let this go on, do you think?
That's a tough one. That's a real tough one. You know, we're watching. A lot of other folks are watching as well. So that really that is a call again for somebody that's pay grade much higher than mine. You know, they're getting paid to make those big decisions. Are we going to stay with it? Are we going to back off? And so somebody's got to make that call eventually. The sheriff's ship's going to stay with it probably as long as their bosses say, hey, it's okay. We're going to keep an eye on it. The best bet would be this driver just get to where they want to go, park that vehicle, get out, and then at least the owner of the car would get the car back in one piece, and then maybe that suspect would get captured some other time.
Stu, I know that you had mentioned there were several officer vehicles in the area. How far back are they? Do we know?
I got to talk to Chris about that because he was giving me information. Quarter mile or so away behind him, but then occasionally we'll see black and white apparently in other neighborhoods or near cross streets. So that's usually how it gets played out. You know, the helicopter will make these calls, and it is universal. Not universal. It is shared by other. Here we go. That was a little unusual. Yeah, see, things like that.
Is he picking up speed?
He's
picking up speed.
Yeah,
definitely picking up a little bit of speed there, and things like that is what's going to cause issues, especially on those turns. But the helicopter's making calls. Other agencies are able to listen into those calls as well. They're made aware that a pursuit or a following or whatever this is right now is coming through their neighborhood, and so they will be in the area. They won't make their presence, very visible because they don't want to, and I mean this, they don't want to stress out that driver. They don't want that driver to feel like they are being pursued and make irrational decisions. So that's kind of the thinking behind not being behind the vehicle, lights and sirens, and just keeping an eye on where it goes.
Why do you think he's going at the pace that he is?
I mean, maybe it's a tactical thing, right? Maybe, I don't know, maybe he knows that they can't necessarily get all up on him if he's driving responsibly like this.
I'm not sure about that, but, it's probably just bide your time. A lot of times that I think that's really just it. Whoever's behind that wheel is just trying to not be in cuffs as long as possible. And that's probably what is going on in this person's mind right now. Is he going to, he's got his blinker on. You can see he's smoking. I can feel the tension just looking at him. I'm getting stressed out just watching. But as far as the law enforcement, they all seem to be cool and calm and relaxed. And we're hearing them make calls constantly, just kind of updating the city, the cross streets. We've got our fancy map up there so everybody can see it. But right now, waiting for a very long traffic light out here in the Whittier Pico Rivera area. And there we go, starting to make that move once again. And it looks like we are going to be getting onto Rosemead and just driving along. If he gets onto a freeway, California Highway Patrol might pick this up. They might have a different idea on how to handle it.
And there is police presence, though we don't see the lights in the cars behind him. there is police presence overhead, and you said about a quarter of a mile behind him?
Yeah, Chris just said it again, that they have really, really backed off. All the cars are gone. The helicopter's still here, though, correct, Chris? The helicopter's still here for sure. You know, it's a kinder, gentler law enforcement out here in the California area, especially out in Southern California. And you know, but honestly, I poke a little jokes at it, but the reality is I honestly believe that their tactics are working as far as public safety is concerned, and that is the major concern, or the number one prerogative of all law enforcement is public safety. And not being behind this guy, lights and sirens, and this person driving erratically, I believe is actually a good tactic, and it keeps the public safe, so they are doing what they are paid to do. And that's what it's all about, is safety, and they just don't want to see anybody get hurt. Property can be replaced, but as far as injuries, you know, we just don't want to see that at all. And even that suspect is something that law enforcement does consider when there is a pursuit or any type of tactical situation.
If you're just joining us this morning, we've been following a police pursuit for the last 20 minutes, a pursuit of a stolen vehicle. We've got Stu overhead in Sky Fox in the San Gabriel Valley community. Is that where he is now, Stu, he or she?
We are, yes, we're in the San Gabriel Valley for sure. That's exactly where we are. And it's a Kia Soul that they're driving. I was trying to stay away from the hamster jokes, but there is no hamsters in that vehicle. It is a driver, human being, and they are keeping an eye on it for sure. There's no doubt about that. The helicopter's still here. Law enforcement being told location and speeds and directions. And they really just want this thing to pull over and that suspect to get out, and then this might change up. They might let this guy actually get a little bit of a distance, but they are nearby. That's all I can say. They're not just letting it go. That isn't what has happened as of yet. But right now, stolen vehicle, but it is driving correctly. That's probably the best way to put it right now, and safely, and stopping at the stoplights, not being aggressive in its any type of moves out here, and law enforcement choosing to follow this stolen vehicle instead of pursue it this morning.
It doesn't look like he really has a good direction of where he's trying to go, just based on his driving pattern.
Just kind of meandering around down there.
Buying time.
We just crossed the... Yeah, biding his time. I was wondering if we were going to get onto that on-ramp there. You're going to make another turn, and it looks like we're staying on the majors out here. But it is starting to seem like we are in a general area. We've been in the San Gabriel, Whittier type of area right now, so maybe he's making blocks. Maybe he's familiar with this area. I'm guessing that it doesn't have navigation, which, you know, might have been an option that he could have used today to get an idea where he needs to be. But right now, I would venture to say this driver just biding his time a little bit while law enforcement keeps an eye on it along with us, and we're just going to see where this car goes, picking up a little bit of speed here. I'm actually going to bring up the speed so the folks at home get an idea as well. And you can see it right there, but he speeds up, he slows down, as long as he's not running those red lights and cutting people off.
He's not going that fast.
Really,
no, he's not. No, this is, like I said, this is the most civilized police chase I think I've ever seen yet.
Yeah, a lot of times it's more like a hockey match. This one seems to be more like a golf tournament right here. Making another turn. It looks like another parking lot, a big parking lot. That this is the second time he's gone through here. Maybe he's looking for you know, a spot to just park and maybe try to blend in a store. We've seen that in the past as well. We've actually seen the opposite happen too. Like a couple times when a pursuit has gone into like they'll park the car and run into a store. We'll actually see everybody running out of the store. So right now we're just keeping an eye on it, cutting across some parking spaces right there. But again, the law enforcement knows where we are. We're keeping an eye on it as well.
Oh, he's pulling into a parking spot.
And a handicap spot. How dare you?
That's not nice.
Pulling into a handicap parking space.
Oh, he's out of the vehicle. Open the door.
Door's open. Door's open. There you go. Clearly not handicapped. There we go.
Oh.
And looks like we're gonna get Sky Fox around to the other side so we can see the name of the store that he's going into and what store he's going into.
This is where you wonder where we could use the law enforcement, the police, because
what happens when he goes inside the store?
Yeah, we're coming around as quickly as possible. There's a lot of traffic up here, but yeah, we're going to keep an eye on it. I just hope there's the sheriffship. The sheriffship knows it as well. He's making those calls right now, but he definitely made his way inside whatever this is. I would venture to say, oh, no, he didn't. I guess they were still closed. Maybe he's going to go back over to the car.
This would be an ideal time for officers to be in this parking lot right now.
Here they come. Here they come. Here they come. Here they come. Here they come.
There we go.
Is he gonna be able to get into the car and
start the car?
No. And let's see what he does.
We're all frustrated, Stu.
My goodness!
You gotta be kidding me.
You have got to be kidding me.
Yeah, and it's got to be so frustrating for all these deputies down there.
Well, maybe not.
Well, he's in a parking lot. He's boxed in right now. He's not going to be able to get very far.
There's a couple of there's other ones coming around.
All right.
Yeah, they're going to try to box him in. Are they going to actually physically?
That's not good.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay.
The owner of that car is going to be pretty upset. I feel his pain for sure. And now look at that. The driving pattern has changed up a little bit.
I'm sure it will. Now after that.
Yep. Yeah. Got
you
a little bit of a
just wrecked your stolen car into a police cruiser.
Up. And, you know, these deputies, the doors pop open, and you know that this guy is not going to stop. Right. I wonder if one of these is pit certified, because now that would have been a good time to do it.
Yes.
And, again, here I am in a helicopter, no police training at all, calling out saying, you should have done a pit maneuver.
Well, you've been doing this a while, Sue. You've seen a number of these.
You have.
So the speed, the speed's not picking up too much.
But it is frustrating to watch, especially when this guy got out of his car.
He was on foot.
Walked into a store. Who knows what could have happened?
Gets in the car, restarts the car.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and, you know, and that's the thing. These deputies, believe me, they want this thing to come to an end. You can just imagine their frustration. We're just watching it. Sure. They're down there doing their jobs, and it gets really, really frustrating. That driver, though, you know, he really lost his points when he parked in that handicap zone, especially for me.
Yeah.
Right now, though, we're keeping up here in the residential neighborhood. I'm going to get a little bit of a peek ahead there, just a wider shot. There are some more traffic, but a lot of deputies are getting involved in this right now. So I can I got to turn down one of the scanner there, but they are definitely getting back involved in this, and they are going to try to bring this to an end. How they're going to do it? Well, now it's going to be a little tough again now that the vehicle's on the move. Pit maneuver, possible.
Ooh.
And it could have happened right there. Yeah, it could have happened right there.
So what kind of charges would he be looking at now that he crashed his stolen car into an officer's vehicle there?
That, you know, that's going to be for the prosecutors to try to haggle about. But, you know, they do tack on that could have been assault with a deadly weapon on a deputy. And that's a big one. That's a big one. That's probably even going to be more of a weight than the actual stolen vehicle charge. So this has changed up quite a bit. And deputies right now.
Now we're stopped.
Now we're stopped, and we're stuck behind this person. And I would venture to say lights and sirens are going, and folks are trying to get out of the way. You can see this person hearing the lights and sirens, moving out of the way, and the key going to kind of just join the flow of traffic here.
Still going with the flow of traffic, though, Stu.
Yep, and that's a good thing for all the folks on the road down there.
How many cop cars are you counting right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6, 7?
Yeah, 6 or 7, maybe 8. I feel like this is almost a scene out of an old Blues Brothers movie. There is a lot of officers following this vehicle right now. We went from none to a lot. Let's just say that in just one little instance right there. I really want to see this come to an end. I don't want to see that vehicle any more damaged. I'm sure if the owner's watching right now at home, I'm sure they are cringing, because that was a clean little Kia Soul until that suspect bumped into that deputy right there. But you see these guys right here, we're kind of poking a little fun at it. This is not any kind of fun. This is very, very serious. These deputies have loaded weapons pointed at that suspect, and if he makes a poor move,
we have guns drawn.
Been making a couple of them. Guns are drawn for sure, and I don't know what's going on right now. He's making some sort of decisions. Just do not put that thing in reverse. Please do not put it in reverse. And there we go. Okay,
Oh,
there
he's
we
taking
go.
off.
And we're going again. It's a tough call. Those deputies, maybe they are not pit certified. Maybe their bosses are saying don't try to pit it. But that one cruiser seems to be right on his tail most of the time. So maybe if the opportunity does appear and it's safe for all people involved and also property, they might do a pit maneuver. But again, this pursuit on and going, and now I would call this more of a pursuit as you see a number of law enforcement right behind that vehicle and that sheriff's ship above making those calls as that Kia Soul leads a number of officers on this pursuit, even another one on the other lanes. Speeds not so high, but the driving continues to be safe is the only thing I can say, waiting for the light. And this is beyond bizarre. You kind of would think, we know that how the rules work, that they don't want to block that suspect in putting that suspect in a position to harm a deputy. That's really the truth. Like people will say at home, well, why isn't that car in front of him? Well, that's the reason why. Because if he put his vehicle in front, or that deputy put that vehicle in front of that car, and then somebody was injured, it would probably fall on the deputy making the bad decision. So that's the reason why they can't do things like that. They're waiting for an opportunity. Spike strip's a possibility. Pit maneuver. What is going on here?
Who's this individual?
Oh, I don't know.
Who's this guy?
Is he trying to hop in the passenger seat?
Was he trying to help?
Maybe it's his car.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe it's his car. I don't know.
What
that
this
was
man's
What's
doing.
this all about?
Yeah.
He looks
welcome
upset.
to Los Angeles. There we go. He looks very upset.
Oh,
That's for
speeds are
sure.
picking
That's
up.
for sure.
If you're just joining us,
There we go.
everybody,
Speeds
we've been
are picking
following
up.
police pursuit for over 30 minutes now. Stu Mandel's in Sky Fox.
In Sky Fox, so
a stolen vehicle.
what started in the Whittier area as a relatively tame police pursuit of a stolen Kia Soul
Yep.
actually escalated when this guy turned into a parking lot. He was surrounded by officers. I don't know if we have that moment that it happened. So he turned into a parking lot right there.
Pulls into a handicap
spot, backs out. He gets surrounded by officers, and then winds up crashing into one of the cruisers, and then takes off at a very high rate of speed, which is what you're seeing right now. Heavy damage to the driver's side of the vehicle.
There's the crash.
Yep, there's the crash right there.
But even just moments before that, when he parked in the handicap spot, he got out of the vehicle, was on foot, and tried to enter. We don't know what it was, a grocery store or otherwise.
Do you know what store that was? It wasn't open because
Got back in the car.
Yeah, got back in the car and then crashed into a cruiser.
Oh, we're getting into a park. Getting into a park area. The only reason I say that is a lot of times these roads just kind of fall back on themselves. I'm going to keep an eye on some of the other deputies, but also there's a lot of open spaces out here. There's a lot of people out here jogging. I don't want to see something happen where he starts driving on a jogging trail, or there's somebody out here this morning exercising.
People have their kids out.
Tragedy strikes. Yep. But right now, this would be an ideal spot for a pit maneuver. You've got nobody around there. Right. You've got no parked vehicles or anything except for that one. And it looks like we're dumping out onto an industrial area out here again. You got to wonder if that suspect actually knew this area. As you can see right there, that's actually a pretty cool move. That deputy is basically blocking traffic to make sure that no other traffic makes their way over here. It looks like a dead end. Definitely a dead end. So this is now they've got this guy kind of cornered.
There's two huge boulders right there, so he's boxed in.
Yeah, and this is where where I kind of switch into cameraman mode, because you just don't know how these things are going to end, and we definitely don't want to see anything tragic happen. It's been a little jovial to this moment. Now all the tension is on. That driver's got to make some good decisions right now. Get out of that vehicle, put their hands up, go into custody. There's really no place for that car to go, as I can see it. And if he makes aggressive moves with that vehicle towards those deputies, this could change up very, very quickly.
And what park is this, Stu? Do you know?
I'm trying to find out. We're in the Whittier Narrows area. Whittier Narrows Recreation Area is what's coming up on our map. So that's going to be that area right there, and you can see adjacent to a very industrial area. But we'll keep an eye on what's going on. I'm sure commands are being called. That driver, clearly was trying to has made every effort to try to get away all morning. They don't have any reason to believe that he is armed.
I was going to ask you that, yeah.
Because we don't know.
Some less than lethal right there. When you see those weapons with yellow or orange, depending upon what it is, either going to be some sort of maybe a pepper ball, maybe some sort of rubber bullets or something like that. Those are going to be the less than lethal. I'm sure that they also have tasers involved. This deputy right there has a shield. That shield is to protect. It is actually ballistic. Believe me, I don't want to be holding it and have somebody shoot at me. But it does seem like they are already being pretty aggressive in their attempt to just bring this to an end. We've seen these turn into, long standoffs. If you're wondering what that deputy is doing, they're going to block him in. They're going to try to get him to the point where that car can't get any momentum, back up, go forward, try to get out. So they're going to get as close as possible. But when you see that deputy with a shield, that is an indication that perhaps they're going to try to just walk up and open up that door and forcefully take that suspect into custody. That deputy right there, I'm venturing to say, you can see him with the radio. I'm sure that is for a loudspeaker, probably giving that driver commands, saying, come out of the car, put your hands up. You've got no place to go. The stuff we usually always hear.
So these are sheriff's deputies, local law enforcement?
These are sheriff deputies. I should be better at this, but I would venture to say that this is going to be Carson Compton.
Oh,
there you go. Doors open.
Appears to be surrounded.
Making some good decisions. Thank goodness. I am happy to see that.
I know.
For sure.
Same. Yeah. We're happy to see it come to a peaceful end. Hopefully, don't want to speak too soon, but.
And there you go. Walking back. Yep.
Okay.
On the ground.
Doing the follow the commands, and there you go. Deputies making that approach, and
doesn't look like he's resisting.
A little resistance right there.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little. Yeah, I'm sure that he's got to put up his end of the bargain right there as well. But at any rate, it looks like that this is coming to an end. We didn't see anybody get out of the car or make any movements, but deputies, they've got to play it safe, make sure that there is nobody in that back seat. And so you can see guns are still drawn until that suspect is handcuffed and out of the way, and then they'll make that approach, bringing this to a peaceful end. Minor damage to the car. I really feel bad for the owner of that car.
Yeah.
Hopefully that the insurance will take care of it and they'll get that back.
Officers are checking to see if there's anybody else in the vehicle. It doesn't look like there is. So yes, peaceful ending to this unusual police pursuit. But which police pursuit is not unusual these days, right, Stu?
Right.
You've covered many.
Definitely.
Thank you, Stu.
Thank you, Stu.
You're welcome.
All right. Now let's go to